Understanding the big picture, you hear about GDP all the time. GDP stands for Gross Domestic Product. It's like a country's financial report card. It tells us how the economy is doing. Is it growing? Is it shrinking? This number gives us a clue. Why is this GDP so significant? Think about everything made in a country, all the goods and services, from cars to haircuts. GDP adds up the total dollar value of all of it. Within a specific time, usually a year. It shows the economic muscle of a nation. A bigger GDP often means a bigger economy. GDP affects almost everything financial. It can impact job availability. It influences your investments. It even affects government decisions. How much can be spent on schools, roads, healthcare? Understanding GDP is financial power. And I want you to be powerful, so let's get smart about GDP together. 22. First up is nominal GDP. This is the most basic version. It measures a country's economic output using current market prices. So, if a country produces 100 cars at $20,000 each, the nominal GDP from cars is $2 million. It's the raw number, not adjusted for inflation. Next we have real GDP. Real GDP also measures a country's output but takes out the effects of inflation. Prices tend to go up over time, right? That's inflation. Real GDP uses constant prices from a base year. This way we see if the country actually produced more stuff, or if the numbers just look bigger because prices went up. Then there is GDP per capita. Per capita means per person. GDP per capita takes the total GDP and divides it by the total population. This gives us an average economic output per person. It helps compare living standards between countries. Nominal GDP shows the current monetary value. Real GDP shows if the economy is truly growing in volume, and GDP per capita gives an average for each person. All are vital for a full understanding. Let's use an example. Imagine a small country, Suesville. In year 1, Suesville produces 100 loaves of bread at $2 each, and 10 haircuts at $20 each. The nominal GDP is $400. Simple, right? It's just the total value at that year's prices. Now, let's look at year 2 in Suesville. Suppose prices go up. Bread is now $3, haircuts are $25, but Suesville still produces 100 loaves and 10 haircuts. The nominal GDP for year 2 is $550. Nominal GDP went up, but did the economy really grow? Not in terms of stuff made. This is where real GDP helps. To calculate real GDP for year 2, we use year 1 prices. So, real GDP in year 2 is $400. The same as year 1. This tells us Suesville didn't actually produce more. The increase in nominal GDP was just due to higher prices. Now think about GDP per capita. Country A has a GDP of $10 trillion. Country B has a GDP of $1 trillion. Country A's GDP per capita is $20,000 per person. Country B's GDP per capita is $50,000 per person. So, GDP is a very important number. It helps us gauge a country's economic health. When real GDP is growing steadily, that is usually good news. It often means more businesses are producing, more jobs are being created, people have more income to spend. Governments and central banks watch GDP figures very closely. They use this data to make policies. But you must understand this. GDP is not a perfect measure. It tells us about the quantity of economic activity, but it doesn't tell us about the quality of life. A country could have a very high GDP, but if that wealth is only in the hands of a few people, that's high inequality. GDP doesn't show that distribution. Also, GDP has blind spots. It doesn't count valuable work if no money changes hands. Think about volunteers or family members caring for children or elders. And what about the environment? If a factory pollutes a river while making products, GDP goes up. But our planet suffers. GDP doesn't subtract that cost. GDP is a powerful tool, but it is not the only tool we should use. Be smart about what it truly reveals. Subscribe to Finance for All for more economic news. Have a great day.